All right, here at Vanderbilt women's basketball head coach Shea Ralph. Coach, the first week of the regular season is close to coming here. You guys are going to hit an exhibition game against Memphis next Monday, and then you guys are going to have a quick turnaround, hit the road to go to Paris before you open your season November 3rd in the City of Lights against California. How are you guys preparing for this next 2 weeks?
One day at a time. I think everyone is really excited, but it's a lot of travel, and we're going to be on TV. It's just a really cool time to be here at Vanderbilt and part of our program. And I know our players are thrilled about Paris, and I'm excited that we could make it work, and our administration was helpful in making it work because it happened kind of last minute for us too. So right now we're just focusing on just the little things in practice, where I feel like the biggest thing right now I want to see is energy and competitiveness. And I know it's going to be a little messy, and I know that we're still working with combinations and we haven't played a real game yet. So that kind of stuff, I've got to make sure that I handle that really well and just keep our energy and effort, communication, competitiveness super high. As long as we do that, all the stuff will work itself out. But I keep telling them every day, we don't have much longer for it to work itself out. So the more disciplined we can be, the better.
At this point in the season, with the exhibition coming up, what are the areas you feel like you're trying to fine-tune before, being on national television?
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time on our defense and rebounding recently. I think that's probably going to be something that's super important for us, not just now, but you guys know in our conference, you have to be able to defend and rebound. So we try to make that change this preseason as opposed to the last couple of years, just working solely on offense. That's going to come, and we have really good players and they're super versatile. So like I said, I'm okay with it being a little messy right now as long as we can lock up, defend, and rebound. And I want that to be the identity of our team. And so we spend a lot of time every day on that. And that's really what we've tried to fine tune and be disciplined in our principles most recently.
Aubrey has gotten the most hype, obviously, but what do your other freshmen, Ava and Monique, bring to the team?
So Monique's had some leg issues, so she hasn't been in practice lately, but Ava has been great. And I thought in our scrimmage, she did some really good things. She brings energy. She's super competitive. She has no idea what she's doing most of the time, but she plays really hard and will get offensive rebounds and deflections. And you can't really, that's what you really need out of a freshman. I don't want them to be afraid. And there is no fear in Ava at all. So she will do whatever the team needs her to do that isn't shooting on the basketball floor to help us win. You got to have people on your team like that.
I know you mentioned just kind of toying with different lineups and things like that, but do you feel like you've solidified maybe a starting five?
Yeah, for sure. I have. And I tried, I don't like to mess with my starting five. I don't like to do that. I never have. But I think that got solidified pretty quickly. And the other part is everyone has a really important role. So I think the starters understand that, hey, if they can't start, we're going to have somebody that steps right in because other people can do some really good things. So it's not like we only have 5 people that can play. We have lots of really great pieces. So that's really important. And when you're playing around with lineups, it's like, all right, well, if we need a bucket and we need a certain kind of bucket, who's that going to be? If we need a stop or we're in serious foul trouble and we have to play a different kind of defense, who's that going to be? So we've been trying to do that as a coaching staff and figuring out, all right, if there are certain things we need on the basketball floor, what 5 are going to give us those things?
With Aubrey and Michaela in the backcourt, how do you feel their skill sets complement each other out there, running out there together?
They're so dynamic, but they are very different. So Aubrey is more of by nature, more of a passer, a playmaker. I think Michaela can be that, but she hasn't been that here yet because she's had to score so much. So it's kind of fun to watch them play off of each other, where I think, Aubrey is pass first in a lot of ways. And I've been telling her she's got to shoot it more. She's took me seriously the last couple of days, so I may have to strike a balance there, but she has to shoot it more so that she can make more plays. And now that we have somebody like that in the backcourt with Michaela, it makes it a lot harder for people to defend Michaela.
You've talked about Michaela wanting to be in more of a leadership role this year. What does that look like for her?
For Michaela, there's always going to be ways that she can grow, and especially in her leadership right away, and she's young. But she is a lead by example by nature. And for us, we need her to be much more vocal in in ways where I'm not asking her to be. So huddles up on the side of the court, in the locker room, doing things in the community, making sure that she's the voice that people are hearing, because she earns her respect based on her performance, based on how hard she works, based on her essentially being a veteran now. So leadership growth for her right now, I think, is more vocal, and she's really leaned into that. And I think too, just being able to do that when she's frustrated. I think for any really great competitive player, that's hard to be able to say things and own them when you're frustrated. But most of the time, what she says is right and it needs to be heard. I just need her to get it out and not keep it in here and let it frustrate her and everyone else.
While she's kind of working on that vocal aspect, do you feel like there is somebody else who is kind of leading in that area?
100%. Justine's been great in vocal leadership. She's also played a lot of basketball, and she's really smart. So she helps kind of navigate what's going on the floor. Sasha brings energy. Sometimes she doesn't know what she's saying, but she's talking, and that's okay too. But that's a different kind of vocal leadership where, you guys know Sasha, like a hype man, essentially, and Justine is directing traffic, and Michaela's being direct with like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. So we have a really good group. It's just making sure that they're able to do it when they're tired and pissed and frustrated, with either themselves, me, or the group. And I think that's where we've like really pushed them in the preseason to be able to do that. So I'm excited to see what it looks like against another team.
With Justine, what have you seen in her development as she heads into her senior year?
She's in much better shape. She spent a lot of time in the weight room with strength and conditioning and nutrition. I think she has a hunger for a bunch of different reasons. There's a lot of things that she's gone through in her basketball career. And I think she's just ready to be part of something special, and she wants to be an impact. And that's not necessarily points, right? I think she just wants to make a positive impact on the team. So you hear her when she's on the sideline, when she's in the game. She's done way more screening than I've seen her do. And been here, she's doing the things we're asking her to do. But she's also realizing, I think, how much fun basketball can be when you're doing things other than shooting the ball.
What's it like having Justine and Jack Lang on the floor at the same time?
It's great. I think we should get more rebounds when they're on the floor, but it's great having that kind of size, especially when Sasha's undersized for a post player, but she plays bigger, especially when you add Mitch and Aaliyah. That's a really big lineup. And those two are extremely versatile, so they can play anywhere on the floor, and they complement each other very well. Their strengths are different, so it's exciting.
Do you feel like there will be times this year that Aaliyah and Sasha will be on the floor at the same time, or?
Currently, no. Okay. But I think we're going to have to work towards that, especially once we get into our combines. So right now, we haven't done a whole lot with both of them in the game at the same time. But, never say never. I think there's going to be a point where we're going to have to use it.
All right, Coach. Appreciate your time. Best of luck.
Thank you, Coach.